Resolved. Testing cosmetics and pharmaceuticals on animals prior to human consumption should not be a legal way to determine effects or results. Imagine walking into a room and smelling toxic chemicals. You look around, seeing animals that are locked in cages much too small for them. You watch in horror as rabbits and mice writhe in pain from tests like Drace testing, which is a test that an animal, usually a rabbit, is locked into a frame so it cannot move. Researchers then drip or rub products into the animal's eyes or skin. The animals suffer with no relief from the pain. Testing on animals is inhumane and harmful to the animals that are being tested on because there are so many animals that get killed and misused during testing. Also, there are many other safer alternatives other than testing on animals. We know this because there have been professors that have found other methods and scientists that have stated claims about them. Finally, testing on animals is practically legal animal abuse because there are so many animals that states don't know about because they are not registered. Testing on animals is inhumane and harmful to the animals that are being tested on. The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. Gandhi. 100 million animals die from animal testing each year. The animals they use include mice, rats, rabbits, cats, dogs, and other primates. According to Humane Society International, animals used in experiments are commonly subjected to forced feeding, forced inhalation, food deprivation, long periods of physical restraint, the infliction of burns and other wounds to study the healing process, the infliction of pain to study its effects and remedies, and killing by carbon dioxide, choking, neck breaking, decapitation, or other means. In 2010, the Department of Agriculture stated that 97,123 animals being tested on suffered pain during experiments and were given no anesthetic relief. People are testing new drugs and infecting animals with new diseases. They also poison, burn their skins, implant electrodes into their brain, blind the animals, and other invasive products tests. Albert Einstein said, if a man aspires towards a righteous life, his first act of abstinence is from injury to animals. The physical and mental abuse that these animals go through is astonishing and incredibly barbaric. Not only do the animals suffer pain when they are alive, but what happens to them after the tests are done is inhumane and heartless. There are many misconceptions about what happens to the animals after they are done being tested on. Some people think that they can simply be released into the wild or adopted. When it comes to the idea of adoption, animals used for testing would not be able to deal with the home environment. Most animals used for testing are bred specifically for that purpose. Also, injuries sustained from testing would make it unrealistic for them to be placed in a home. The inhumanity towards these animals is insane. The tests that these animals go through include administering supersized doses of chemicals up to 1,000 times stronger than humans would ever be exposed to. These animals are scalded by chemicals on their skin and eyes, shoved into tubes no larger than their bodies, and forced to breathe noxious fumes. Yet they're no more immune to the pain than the dogs and cats we live with. This is in no way humane or not harmful to the animals we live with.
We moved away from studying human disease in humans. We all drank Kool-Aid to that one, me included. The problem is that animal testing hasn't worked, and it's time we stop dancing around the problem. It's time we need to refocus and adapt new methodologies for use in humans to understand disease, biology, and humans. Dr. Elise Herny. There are other, safer alternatives to animal testing. There are more than 50 different alternatives to animal testing, such as using EpiSkin, Epiderm, and SkinEthic, each composed of artificial human skin. This method can save thousands of rabbits each year from painful skin irritation tests. These tests are also quicker, cheaper, and have been found to predict human reactions better than the tests that are performed on the animals. The traditional testing of chemicals using animals can take up to 5 years for results per test and cost millions of dollars, while non-animal alternatives can test hundreds of chemicals in a week for a fraction of the cost. 3 states, California, New Jersey, and New York, have already passed legislation stating that federally approved non-animal alternatives, when available, must be used in place of animals. Paul Furlong, professor of clinical brain structure at Ashton University, states that it is very hard to create an animal model that even equates closely to what we're trying to achieve in a human. Testing on animals can give very inaccurate results. Killing and torturing animals just so you can get insignificant data is pointless. There are other, safer ways to test medical and cosmetic products. Animal testing should be legally considered animal abuse. The cruel and inhumane things that they do to these animals borders on torture. The only thing that keeps animal testing from falling under the label animal abuse is the fact that results of animal testing create antibiotics and drugs. But more often than not, what goes on behind closed doors would be considered horrific and inhumane. The Animal Welfare Act is a federal law that addresses the standard care that animals get at research facilities. Yet it excludes about 95% of the animals tested upon, such as rats, mice, fish, birds, and reptiles, and provides only minimal protection for the rest. This just goes to show how many animals are not being properly cared for and watched over. The definition of animal abuse is when someone hurts an animal or does not care for the animal responsibly. How is what they do to animals in labs not considered animal abuse? In 1981, at the Institute for Behavioral Research, monkeys were kept in wire cages that were only 17 inches wide and covered in feces. This was the result of no one cleaning them for months on end. These monkeys were tested on in extreme ways. The acute noxious stimuli test was a test that they performed on the monkeys. I was to take the monkey from the colony and strap him into a homemade immobilizing chair. The acute noxious stimuli were to be applied with a pair of surgical pliers, clamped and fastened to the tightest notch. I was to observe which part of the monkey's body felt pain. I was Picchio. Animals in labs are routinely mutilated and subjected to physical and psychological torment every single day of their lives. How can animal testing be legal when the people who are supposed to be regulating the activities that go on in these labs can't even properly inspect each and every single lab? Many labs pass inspection even where appalling legal violations occur. Animal testing should be legally considered animal abuse.
Okay, negative open-end arguments.
Animal research plays a crucial role in scientists' understanding of diseases and the development of effective medical treatments, says the Americans for Medical Progress. Animal experimentation is needed to test cosmetics and pharmaceuticals on animals. Because of animal experimentation, we have found a multitude of cures. And in actuality, we consume more animals than we actually test on. Today you will hear the pros and cons of animal experimentation. Then it will be up to you to decide where you stand with this issue. We believe that animals should be allowed to be researched on. The first reason we believe animal experimentation is a good thing is because it is needed for us as humans to test these products on animals. The World Medical Association Declaration of Helsinki states that human trials should be proceeded on tests on animals. Also, a group of 1,000 scientists took a poll that had to do with what they believe about animal experimentation. 90% of these scientists agreed that the use of animal in research is essential. This shows that medical professionals agree that testing on animals is very much needed. To advance our knowledge of human health further, the use of animals for biomedical purposes is necessary.
Our second point states that animal experimentation has led to finding cures for diseases and sicknesses. Animal experimentation has led to finding vaccines for rabies, cancer chemotherapy, discoveries of DNA, and much, much more. A large percentage of medical breakthroughs in the past 100 years have resulted in using animals for research, according to the California Biomedical Research Association. Because of animal experimentation, the global occurrence of polio disease has reduced from 350,000 people in 1988 to just 223 people in 2012. That is a difference of 349,777 people, and that's all thanks to animal experimentation. In addition, according to statistics, chimps are 99% genetically similar in DNA with humans, and mice's DNA are 98% genetically similar, meaning they're able to get many of the same illnesses, such as heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. Because of that, scientists have been saving endangered species such as the black-footed ferret, the California condor, and the tamarins of Brazil. That means by finding cures, we are not only helping the humans, but we are also helping the animals. This information proves that animal experimentation is both effective and useful for finding cures for diseases and sicknesses. Our third reason is that fewer animals are used in research compared to consumption. People in the United States consume 9 billion chickens, 150 million cattle, pigs, and sheep, while we only use 26 million animals for research, which include birds, rodents, and fish. This means for every 3,520 animals we consume, only one is used for research. And let's be serious, nobody really thinks about the animal that they're eating when they bite into a hamburger.